Hi everyone! Today we're exploring a topic on many students' minds, the graduate school application process. We often encounter students who are unsure of where to begin. So with this video, we hope to provide some information about the different application components, as well as break down a potential timeline for searching and applying to graduate school. Please note that specific requirements and deadlines will vary by discipline and by specific programs, so consult the schools you want to apply to. Also know that professional programs, such as law schools and medical schools, will have their own application process and requirements. It can be intimidating to start the graduate school process when you don't even know where to begin. That's why it's important to ask yourself two questions. First, is a graduate degree necessary for your future career path? To determine this, you can find job postings for positions that interest you. They will often include degree requirements for applicants to that position. You can also talk to people in your field or to your academic advisor. They will have important insights into the field. Second, is it a financially responsible decision for you to make? We'll be making a video on how to find funding opportunities for graduate school, which should help you answer this question. Always remember that grad school should not just be your backup plan. It takes too much time and effort for you to not be fully committed to the process. So that's why this reflection is really important. There are so many graduate programs out there that it is necessary to set some parameters during your search. You will need to identify criteria that is important to you. This will vary by individual. Do you plan to work with a faculty advisor? If so, is that person or relationship important to you? If the answer is yes, then you will want to focus on a department's faculty and the research they produce. Other criteria that you may use includes the school's location, the department's research focus, funding opportunities, accreditation, acceptance and post-grad hiring rates for graduate students. There really is no right or wrong formula. It's really identifying what's important to you and your graduate school experience. Once you identify the criteria that's important to you, there are several resources that can help you identify potential programs. First, talk to your academic advisor. They have important insights to provide about potential programs and career paths. Second, there are several websites that are useful in identifying programs, such as gradschools.com, petersons.com, and graduateguide.com. Lastly, don't forget to visit web pages for potential departments that you identify. These will include even more specific information, including application requirements. Now that we've talked about some of the ways to research and to identify specific programs, let's explore some of the different components of grad school applications that you might encounter. First, organization is key during the grad school application process. It can be overwhelming to keep track of all the different information throughout the application process. The CCD has created a sample Excel spreadsheet that you can download. It can be found in the Career Development section of WestNet. Here is what the Excel template looks like. Once you download it from WestNet, you can add or delete any of the columns, but I promise you will be thankful that you kept track of all the information in one place when you get further into the process. There are several components that you might encounter during the application process. Some examples of those are a graduate admissions test, a CV or resume, a personal statement or a statement of purpose, letters of recommendation, your undergraduate college transcripts, and the actual application for the graduate school. In considering the different parts, you can see where organization will be crucial during this process. Now, let's explore some of these components in greater detail. One of the first things you'll want to determine is if you'll be required to take a graduate admissions test, because this will take some coordination and planning. You'll need to identify the closest testing center and the testing schedule. Also note that many of the testing companies offer some fee waivers and testing accommodations, but oftentimes you need to apply for those separately and in advance. Planning ahead will relieve some unnecessary stress. Next, you might have to submit a CV or a resume along with your application. These two documents are different. A CV will focus more on your academic achievements, such as relevant coursework, projects, and presentations. A resume highlights your professional development experiences. The CCD has resources on WestNet on both of these document types, so make sure to check those out or contact the CCD staff with any questions you may have. Next, we'll discuss personal statements. A personal statement is a narrative that explains who you are and why you want to go to a particular graduate school. This type of narrative can often be broken down into two components or parts. The first part of the narrative should explore your experiences and the work you have completed during your undergraduate career. The second part should explain the work you will do if you are accepted into a particular program. Now, sometimes schools will separate out these 2 points of discussion into a personal statement and a separate research statement, but the core purpose is the same. The department wants to see your previous development and the ways in which you see yourself growing into the field. With personal statements, you do not want to take a one-size-fits-all approach. The admissions committee will be able to tell if you just copied and pasted your narrative. We'll have another video that explores this topic more in depth, so stay tuned. Now, let's touch on letters of recommendation. For your graduate school application, you'll want to identify people who are familiar with your undergraduate experience, whether it be your academic or co-curricular activities. Common choices often include professors, administrators, coaches, etc. When you ask someone to write a letter of recommendation for you, make sure to offer them a copy of your CV or resume for reference. While they may know you well, it might be difficult to recall every detail, especially if they work with a lot of students. Having a resume or CV allows them to be more specific and intentional in their recommendation. Most importantly, you need to give them plenty of time to write the letters. One piece of feedback we've received from faculty is that students often wait until the last minute to ask for letters of recommendation, leaving them with only a week or two to complete the letters. You do not want to wait until the last minute to ask, especially if it's in the middle of the semester. Giving recommenders more time means receiving higher quality recommendations, which is always a good thing. Many students apply to graduate school without being aware of the different funding opportunities out there, so make sure to do your research. Some key terminology to keep in mind is grants, assistantships, and fellowships. Check with the departments, the universities, national organizations, etc. We'll have another video that goes more in depth about researching funding opportunities, so keep an eye out for that. We'll spend the rest of the presentation going through a potential timeline for the application process. Note that this timeline offers a general sequence of events to prepare you for the graduate school application process. Please refer to specific requirements of the programs you are applying to for official due dates and acceptance periods. The key is to give yourself enough time to produce quality materials for your applications. Waiting until the last minute to do everything will make the process extremely stressful. So the CCD staff wants to help prevent that. The fall semester of your junior year is a great time to start thinking about the possibility of graduate school. You can start researching potential career paths you are interested in and identify if those types of positions require graduate degrees. Talk to your academic advisor as well, and make sure to reach out to the CCD with any questions you may have. In the spring of your junior year, continue to research potential programs and, if necessary, identify potential faculty advisors. If you find someone you'd like to really work with, it's a good idea to send an introductory email that introduces yourself and ask whether or not they will be accepting grad students as advisees during the next application cycle. If they reply that they will not be accepting students, then you'll know to remove that program from your list. You should also look at testing schedules for your required graduate admissions test. In the summer between your junior and senior year, start narrowing down your list of schools. This is also a great time to take the required graduate test because you'll probably have lighter course load than in the fall or spring semesters. Towards the end of the summer, reach out to potential people you'd like to write your letters of recommendation. Lastly, start drafting your personal statements or other narratives required by the programs. In the fall of your senior year, things will start ramping up. This is when you'll be glad that you did so much prep work over the past few months. You'll want to finalize all of your application materials, such as your personal statement and CV or resume, and start applying to the programs with fall deadlines. Submitting applications may continue into the beginning of the spring semester, depending on application deadlines. Once all of your applications have been submitted, the waiting game begins. Continue doing your coursework and research other amazing opportunities. The waiting period can be agonizing, but don't let that discourage you. Instead, talk to the CCD to explore parallel planning. It's important to know that a lot of different factors go into graduate school admissions, the majority of which are out of your control. If you do the proper preparation and make the necessary contacts, then you'll know that you did everything that you could. This concludes our introductory video on the graduate school application process. If you have any questions or want to explore any of the topics mentioned in this video, please schedule an appointment with one of the CCD staff. We'd love to help.